past and future meet in the land of turmoil. Welcome to I Hope You Suffer.
That's a kick-ass tagline, in my opinion.
For a very kick-ass movie.
Yes. No ass left unkicked.
Welcome to I Hope You Suffer. My name is Nathan.
I'm Kit.
I'm Katie.
And this week, for episode 60, we watched 1988's Robo Vampire, a.k.a. Robo Warrior, a.k.a. possibly the best movie we have done on this podcast.
I chose a good one, y'all. For once.
This one is up there with Santa Slay for me. Except I had some kind of like previous ideas of what Santa Slay was. This one I had no idea.
I didn't not like it because it was like bad in a funny way, which is like sort of the point, right? But the things that like made it hard for me to enjoy was it was like really hard to take notes on it because like first of all, this movie is dubbed, so for people who don't know what that means, originally it's in a different language, and then they just like do like English voiceover to it.
I don't even know if that's true. Like, it's definitely dubbed, but like most of the people are saying the dialogue that's coming out of their mouth. It's just like someone else saying it.
Yeah, so I don't know if it was meant to like, I don't know. Either way, it really had that feel of like. It really had that feel of like really old like Japanese movies that you watch where they dub it, where like they translate it, but the nuances like make it really hard to understand what anyone's saying. So like this movie definitely had that. It was like really hard to tell what the plot was because of the way people like spoke and said stuff.
Oh, there's no plot to this movie.
The only thing I caught, like, things were happening because of drugs.
Yeah,
and that was
pretty
it.
much. But it was like also because there was like groups of like I don't know. I had a hard time because of the way that the story was like flipping back and forth, and you don't get a lot of context from what they were saying. It was like really hard for me to follow what was going on, and it was like another fever dream. I just don't even know.
But none of that mattered once the vampire started hopping.
It's gonna be awesome to try to talk about this movie because A, there are no character names on IMDb at all. They say maybe 3 names throughout the entire movie, and it's about people that aren't even in the scene, so you don't even know who that person is. Like,
right, and
all of my notes are just like, Guy does this. Guy does this with some other guys. Vampires are hopping at some guy.
I have a few of the names, but so there's like different like ethnic groups in this movie. Basically, there's like the Americans, I assume, who are like in the army, and you can tell because they're wearing like, you know, like army like
fatigues,
camo, and whatever. And so. Like sometimes when they talk, it looks like what they're saying is what their mouth is moving, and sometimes it doesn't. And like there's one point where one of the army guys says like all of the Americans' names like at once, but for no reason. He's just like, Johnny and Linda are here, and Brown and blah 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 blah, and you're like, what? So I do have a few of their names, but I mostly wrote like crime boss and like I don't know. It's just really
Mr.
strange.
Mustache.
And then, like, 2 of the characters who are definitely not Australian have, like, Australian accents. It's very strange.
This
I don't...
movie rules.
Hong Kong movies whip ass.
I am not kidding. I am going to take a deep dive into Godfrey Ho's catalog now, because this is a delightful movie that just makes 0 sense at all, and I love it. But yeah. So this was directed by Godfrey Ho, who has directed about 6 million movies that are all look incredible.
Oh, he has a movie called Devil's Dynamite.
Yeah, that's the sequel. That's Robo Vampire 2. That is not technically a sequel to Robo Vampire.
Oh, because there was one that also said Robo Vampire Bride of Reanimator. Anyways, never mind. This is just more like this. Not that he.
Yeah.
I was like, Slumber Party Massacre? There's no way.
Oh no,
my bad.
it's all like kung fu movies, but they all just look bonkers. And
Devil Dynamite does look bonkers.
He's like, it seems like he's one of those guys that just like directs like 15 to 20 movies a year.
He directed 9 ninja movies in a row in 1987.
Like all part of the same series or just in general ninja?
Like Ninja Phantom Heroes, Ninja Operation 6 Champion on Fire, Ninja Operation License to Terminate,
Oh,
Ninja Death Squad.
Well, I'm really glad we didn't end up watching the second one, I gotta say.
Oh, I'm gonna watch it like immediately.
We should do whatever Hitman the Cobra is.
There was another one that was like had the word scorpion in it, and I was like, yeah, that seems good.
I just want more kung fu quote unquote horror movies.
Yes.
With robots made of trash.
I'm just gonna start by saying, like, technically there's not. He looks like he's just wearing like a goalie, like a hockey goalie outfit that they spray painted silver.
He looks like the things people put in their car windows to keep the sun from making the dashboard hot.
They just wrapped him in a bunch of those and gave him like a football helmet.
And then had somebody make like robot noises every time he moved. Okay, let's get into this because it's not.
My favorite part though is that at numerous times, like the guy that is playing the Robocop ripoff, it was like a blonde white dude, but then anytime you see him like in the daylight, you can see through his mask and it's blatantly an Asian man.
I didn't catch that. I didn't really. This was a difficult movie, you guys.
No, this was amazing. It was definitely hard to like figure out what the fuck was happening and take notes on it, but the movie was great.
Because there was like really long stretches of movie where like there's no robot or vampire in it, and you kind of forget that this is like
Robo Vampire.
Oh there's
whatever
like
it is,
an entire like B plot that's just like this mercenary dude trying to like save somebody that has nothing to do with any of the rest of the story.
We don't know. We have no idea.
It leads to one of the best moments in the whole film involving a roof and a grenade.
And like, oh man, the fucking like doll dummy things that they throw are so good.
Oh my god. And then there was like, okay, I'm gonna save it.
I don't even know how to start. Like, my first note is army guys have man captured accidentally open casket. I don't remember what that is.
Yeah, I mean, so it starts with there's like 2 soldiers and they have this guy at gunpoint. And so I think the only point of the opening of the movie is to like show you that there's vampires. So I think that maybe the plot of this whole thing is that there's some kind of drug trade going on. And so I think that maybe they were supposed to be like they found this dude and they were like looking through the boxes because they thought maybe that there was drugs there, because like a lot of the fight scenes revolve around like drug busts, right? So you find out later that they're like hiding the drugs in the vampire bodies. So I think this is like what's happening.
Oh, to be a vampire stuffed with drugs.
My third note is just more army guys harassing people for reasons.
One of my favorite parts too in the very beginning, to be fair, this movie does start at a 10, right? Because there's like zombies and they like open it and there's supposed to be a scene of like snakes coming out and attacking this guy, but it's like really obvious that there was somebody in the box that literally like threw the snakes like at the guy, and so he's like shooting and then the vampires like pop out.
Oh,
Also,
so
one of my notes is Soldier is wearing high tops.
They're tactical high tops, okay?
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah, so essentially you have this guy that like can control the vampires, who is just referred to as Taoist throughout the movie. That
Yeah.
I don't think that's his name, but that's just what they call him.
So basically, I I didn't know actually like where this movie came from. For some reason, I just like assumed that it was a Japanese movie, and it's definitely not.
It's Hong
So,
Kong.
right. So I am not gonna spoil the information that Kit wants to give, but in case anyone else is gonna like watch this or is like wondering, the vampires are like not what we would typically think vampires are because they're based on like a Chinese folklore
These are cool, sexy vampires, not like American ones.
that's right. So they're called, I'm probably gonna mispronounce it, but it's Jiangqi, which is basically like a reanimated corpse, like a type of reanimated corpse, and in this movie they are hopping zombies. And the reason that they call them vampires is because like they're vampires in the sense of that they like leech off the life of people. So like their definition of vampire is like different than ours.
I was extremely confused, like, the first time they bite the dude's neck and they just pull out, like, a big chunk of flesh and, like, eat it, and I was like, what is happening?
Yeah, so they're like actually more like zombies. And so you don't really see this in the beginning, but like the scene that we're about to get to, they have these like talismans on their head. And so that's like that, and their outfits are like really, really typical of like what these zombies usually look like. So there's like a whole slew of them. And actually the only reason I know anything about like this folklore at all is because there's this fighting game that came out, I don't even know when, for like the Dreamcast called
Oh my god,
Darkstalkers.
you and your video games.
And so there's a character basically who is like this, she's based off of that. And so that's why I knew what this was. Anyways, I'm done.
Kit, do you want to give us some of your information about hopping vampires?
Yeah, so I've got a list of methods and items used to counter them, which are pretty intense.
Is one of them a very giant necklace of garlic?
Sadly, there is not a very giant garlic, but there is vinegar. We've got, let's see, hooves of a black donkey.
Oh, that's obvious.
Yeah, duh. Mirrors, pretty obvious. Items made of wood from a peach tree. A rooster's call, because the rooster's call usually occurs with the rise of the sun.
Okay, that one actually makes sense.
Yeah, that. As I read it, I was like, oh, okay, that explains it, actually. Adzuki beans. It does not explain how adzuki beans would
They have to eat them.
defeat them.
They hate vegetables.
Same, honestly. Handbell.
Handbell?
Yeah, a handbell.
I mean, I guess kind of same.
A thread stained with a concoction of black ink, chicken blood, and burnt talisman. Which seems like a lot when you could just use vinegar, honestly.
So,
Right.
do they use the term talisman to just, like, describe, like, the paper that's on their face?
Yeah, that's a
Okay,
talisman.
I just, like, when I hear that, I think of, like, a necklace of some sort, but...
I mean, it can be. In this like specific instance, it's the scrolls. And so I don't know. They don't really in this like I don't really know much about like why the vampires are different. Like some of them, I guess, are newer. I don't know if because like there are some that have the talisman on their foreheads that are like fresher looking zombies, vampires versus like some of the older ones. So I don't really know that much about the folklore to know like why it's different or why like the main guy looks like a gorilla, but
Was there anything else on their kit?
No.
Did Kit die?
I think so.
Oh, sorry, I had my microphone muted.
Oh.
Oh, I know that
there's,
struggle.
There's blood of a black dog. Dropping a bag of coins, which will cause them to count the coins.
Oh no. That seems somewhat
Same.
racist.
I don't understand how this one works at all. Like, I could see Adzuki beans over this, but holding one's breath.
Well, I know that there's like a superstition with like souls and holding your breath, but I'm not really sure why. You know what? They did breathe in people's faces a lot,
Oh, maybe that's it.
but I don't know how that does anything.
Oh, also a broom.
Oh, well,
Okay.
yeah,
Oh, yeah.
obviously.
I don't...
They hate
Like-
cleaning.
You shunt them.
Yeah. Do you stab them with the broom, or do you, like, sweep them away?
You ride off
You
on them.
just sweep at them, and they're like, no dust.
They get real allergic.
God, I don't even remember where we're at. My next note is literally guy with package makes it rain on vampires. Because I just remember some dude like throwing money at him or some shit.
Okay, so before that is like when you see the people smuggling like the heroin, which I thought it was supposed to be cocaine, but they say heroin, so I don't know. And then you get the mustache guy, and he's like,
The guy that looks
don't-
like John Carpenter in the 70s.
yeah. He's like, I
I
don't
was
like.
to replace him. That's it.
He basically is saying that he hates the like anti-drug people, and that he's gonna get the Taoists to train vampires to deal with them. So, and then you get the guy whose name I think is Ken goes down into the basement, and he's like got a package, and he's like scared, and he's like throwing rice and money at them for some reason.
Jesus.
It's because this is when you get like the first scene where they all just like come out and are just like hopping at them while they do like kung fu moves.
Yeah, and the other guy that's like down there, I did write down some of the lines that they said because they were really funny, and so they were like placing drugs like in the coffins, and then they were putting like incense in there, and the guy goes, "Bless our drugs."
I was like, isn't it like the drugs end up being like rice powder instead of whatever it was supposed to be, and that's why they wake up?
Which I don't understand.
Well,
Like, what does that have to do with anything?
They were pissed. They wanted those drugs.
Yeah, trying to get high.
Yeah, I guess.
Yeah, somebody at some point says something about how they're going to change from drugs to body smuggling. I have that written down for some reason. And then my next note is literally someone stuffing drugs into cow carcass.
Yeah, and
Which was real, for one.
it
Yeah.
definitely was. And they like showed her sewing it up too. And you like also never. So I'm assuming that she's the same girl from like the end of it, but you don't ever get any explanation for like why she's doing that.
Oh, maybe. Yeah, because the lady that shows up at the end, I was just like, where the fuck is this lady? That's like, I feel like
Yeah.
I said that a lot in this movie, though. I was just like, people just show up and you get no explanation as to really who they are, and
Yeah.
they just do some shit.
Well, no, and that's why it was confusing too, because like I said, there's like different groups of people, and since you don't ever like get anyone's names or like connection to them, it's just like there's like different groups of like I don't even like I don't know. So it's like confusing because there's like three different groups of like white people, and like some of them are good and some of them are bad, and it's like who like I never know. The only people that I recognized towards the end was like the priest, like the Taoist guy, and because he like wore an orange robe the whole time, and then like the rescue party at the end, and that's it. I was like, I don't know who this is. What is happening now?
Yeah, this is like 3 different movies, like crammed together. That like
That's what it
And
felt like to me.
I was talking to Shane about it a little bit earlier today, and he was talking about how like a lot of kung fu movies like will use clips from Godfrey Ho movies and stuff, and like it just feels like this was a movie where like he just took 3 separate movies and just like clipped them together into one.
I mean, yeah, it really did feel like that though.
So at some point, some white army dudes come.
This next part is so weird.
Is this the part where the ghost woman shows up? Yeah.
Yeah.
That's really saying something for this movie too.
This
When you can be like, this next part's pretty weird.
This
In Robo
whole
Vampire.
storyline with this ghost woman that is in love with this fucking
Peter,
corpse
the
vampire gorilla looking thing. And like she's just wearing a see-through shirt through most of it, and then later on in a fight throws
She
part of her
takes
shirt
it
at
off.
somebody. Oh my god, it's so
Freaking
good.
weird.
Yeah, I guess these guys come down to just, I don't know, check on their drug smuggling operation, and this ghost woman comes in and like yells at the Taoist guy about having like how he has her lover fucking under his power as a vampire, and she wants him to be set free so they could be together in the afterlife. Some fighting ensues.
He said to her, so she's like a white person. She's white. And the priest guy says to her, but you're from the West and he's from the East. How can you explain? Like, how can she explain that they were in love? I was like, what?
To be fair, she also refers to them as Orientals, so that's cool.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Yeah. She's like, also, I don't know. She's definitely one of the people who is like saying, she's like speaking English and she's like saying like what she actually says, but she's like talking really fast and saying a lot of stuff for like no reason.
My next note just says feet sparks.
Oh yeah, she was like pushing back on him and there was like sparks coming out of their feet. There's also a lot of mystic whooshing in this movie.
Yes, a lot of the subtitles just say mystic whooshing throughout the entire movie.
Fuck.
Like,
I need to start watching these with subtitles.
I'm
missing out.
A lot of
You
times
really are.
that it just looks like somebody has like Roman candles in the sleeves of their shirt.
Yeah, that's Peter, the head gorilla vampire. They also like show him shooting them off, and then they like re-show that they like show different cuts of it, like all together. So it's like a really long scene, and you're like nothing's happening. He's just like standing there with them, like you can see them in his sleeve.
Oh my god, this movie rules.
My favorite thing, so they're like fighting, right? And then he like summons Peter, who is like the big bad vampire in this that she's in love with, who is like her husband. I don't know why his name is Peter, but that's what she said. And he's like definitely wearing a gorilla mask. But one of the white guys like comes up to the priest and he was like, that lady ghost loves him. Oh, that lady ghost loves him deeply. That's what he says. And then he's just like, can't you help them out? I was like, what?
Yeah, like the Taoist guy like just agrees that he will marry them if they both obey him.
Hell of a deal.
I mean, sounds like a pretty sweet deal.
Can't just find someone else to marry you.
And then you just like a hard cut to some fucking park where some army guys are fighting some fucking drug smugglers that release some vampires and fuck up a bunch of army guys, which then immediately cuts to the blonde army guy dying on like a hospital table where somebody immediately is just like, I want to turn him into a robot.
He said, he's like, oh, he's dead. And he was like, since Tom is dead, I want to make use of his body and create an android-like robot. And then he was like, I would appreciate if you would approve my application. And he said, okay, application approved.
And then you get the cheapest scene of building a robot I've ever seen, which is just like putting a piece of metal like on his head or some shit, and then you see a little bit of welding, and then Robocop's there. Literally
I wish I had known it was that simple.
Exactly as good as Robocop.
I'm gonna start hanging out in hospitals. Like, hey, when that guy dies, I need to use his body to become an android. This is my formal request.
I appreciate if you would accept my application.
They have no choice but to accept and let me have a robot.
So Robocop is now in this movie, as you will see from the poster. We have not talked about that the poster is literally Robocop.
Yes.
And then you see the movie, and it looks like Robocop if he was made for $3.
Like, not even. That was probably just like in the back of somebody's closet, and they were like, "Oh, I have something we could use."
I think they just like covered him in super glue and just had him roll around in the trash,
And then spray painted him silver.
Yeah, and then put some goggles on him.
Like, they got a flame-resistant suit and then dipped some pit vipers in like silver paint. Like, all right,
It's
go out into the world.
pretty awesome.
Hero.
So then you cut to some story that like barely ties into anything with RoboCop, which is this priest getting killed by some drug smugglers because he's hidden drugs in his church.
The drugs were like in a cross.
Yeah. He's just like, I don't have any of these drugs, and like they knock over a cross and it just a bunch of white powder comes out. And then his daughter, who I don't think is actually his daughter, comes out and just starts opening fire on these dudes. She ends up getting kidnapped and then sexually assaulted in a jail. There's also everybody that gets kidnapped gets like the water dripping torture the entire movie, where they just have a faucet leaking a drop like every couple seconds onto your head.
I mean, I think that would probably be pretty annoying, but she's like
that's a real thing.
Really dramatic about it.
You get a quick scene of RoboCop stopping some smugglers. This whole movie is literally just like a bunch of 2-minute scenes clipped together.
Yeah, it's just like random stuff happening.
I have a note that just says more army dudes killed by vampires. RoboCop shows up.
Every other scene, honestly.
RoboCop shows up and causes smugglers to flee.
I have Robocop. Oh, I was calling him Robotom. Robotom captures drug people.
Oh, so then you get like a quick scene of this mercenary guy that is hired to go like find this priest's daughter that was kidnapped because she, I guess, works for the army.
She's a narcotic agent.
And the guy says that she's being held in the Golden Triangle, and that if it was up to him, he would pay up to $1 million to get her, but the government will only pay $20,000. And the dude's like, "Sounds good."
He was like, "I need 3 people with more ammo. I need 30,000." He's like, "All right." I was like, what a weird like job interview. I would gladly pay you $1 million, but the company is only going to pay you 20,000.
If it was up to me, I'd pay you $30 an hour, but I can only offer you 10.
Yeah. His name is Ray, by the way, the mercenary.
I don't care. I just referred to him as mercenary in all my notes.
Okay. Well, because there's another one that like randomly shows up for no reason.
Mercenary guys and like whoever he's working with get ambushed by like, I guess, drug smugglers while they're like floating down this river. And they start getting like fired on, and they start to retreat a little bit, and then somebody that I guess works with this mercenary guy shows up and just kills a bunch of people. Something like that, I guess.
Yeah. His name's Andy.
I'm just referring to everybody as Guy.
Mercenary guy.
And then they just stumble across the movie Over the Top, where there's a fucking arm wrestling match happening surrounded by like 600 people. I guess that's a thing that was happening in the 80s, just arm wrestling championships.
Arm wrestling all the time.
What else is there to do?
Yeah, that's a good question.
How else do you decide what happens?
But I don't know. Something happens where he realizes one of the dudes has like a tattoo that he recognizes, and he just kidnaps him.
See, is that?
Yeah, so far his dude's job's pretty easy. I don't know why he needed $30,000.
Yeah, for real.
He takes him over by a river and is like threatening to kill him if he doesn't tell him where this woman is being held, and then he just starts getting beat up by the kidnapped guy and gets saved by, I don't know, more mercenary people. And then you get a thing of Robocop on the beach digging under fire.
I had turned away and turned back and saw him like behind a bunch of fire and just sinking into the sand. I was like, what in the shit is going on? Is he melting?
I couldn't tell. Like, I was like, oh, he's just gonna walk through the fire, and then all of a sudden he's just like popping out of the sand, and I was like, what the fuck is happening?
Yeah, I was really confused about that. I was like, the sand is on fire and he's sinking for some reason, but then he just gets back up easily. Like, what?
And then
so did he sink so that he could avoid the fire?
No,
Why couldn't he just walk through it?
I think it was supposed to be that he dug under, like, you know, down and then like under the fire and came back out on the other side of it.
He's like literally in a fireproof suit. Like,
he's a
that's
robot.
the outfit he's wearing.
I don't know.
He's a robot.
That spray paint seems like it's probably pretty flammable.
He's by the ocean.
Yeah, good point.
Okay, but this is like one of my other favorite parts because so there's like a bunch of vampires that like jump out and attack him, and then this guy shoots him with a rocket launcher and he explodes, and it's definitely just like a dummy wrapped in tinfoil. Like literally a dummy wrapped in tinfoil.
The like stunt dummies used in this movie are perfect.
Top notch.
Yeah, Robocop gets blown up and then just gets put back together.
Immediately they cut from the explosion to them being like, oh, we have to repair him.
Obviously, none of these people that blew him up gave a shit about thinking that the army would get all of his pieces and put him back together. My next note just says mercenary guy beating up other guys. I don't even know what that means.
Every other scene is just a fight between random people.
Well, one of the things that I wrote is like the guys like walk up to the other guy and he's like, who do you think you are? And he says, we're two of the meanest fuckers around. And then they start fighting and shooting at each other.
I mean, those are fighting words.
I mean, yeah.
Then they just stumble across some sort of massacre with people hung upside down on like upside down crosses.
Yeah.
And then mercenary guy is a creep and is peeping on some woman bathing in a river.
So that's Wendy. That's Andy's sister. I don't know why she's there. There's like literally a scene.
How did you even get this information?
Because when first of all, he was like that guy that they kidnapped who is like knows where the narcotics agent is held. He was like beating him up, and she literally ran up and she was like, hey, Ray, you need to stop. And he was like, who are you? And she goes, Wendy, Andy's sister. Like that was the exchange. And then they're like, they told that guy, they're like, you need to tell us where she's being held. And he's like, I'm not going to tell you. And then the other guy's like, "Hey, do you really think your boss is gonna believe you didn't cooperate with us?" And then he just like is their friend now. Like he travels with them the rest of the time as their buddy. Like what?
Oh my god, the movie's so good. It makes
Yeah, so
zero sense, and I love it.
it's like, oh yeah, so Wendy is bathing, and Ray, just mercenary guy, pops up and he says, "It's a great view. You should bathe more often."
And then he just
Like
nudes up and gets in there with her, and they just, I guess, fuck in this gross water.
they like touch faces really awkwardly. It's so weird.
And then you pretty much just hard cut to the Taoist guy marrying Ghost Woman and Gorilla Vampire.
And they're like sparring to sexy music.
Yeah, and then Robocop shows up and fucks up everything.
Unbelievable. No poop.
This scene is so
He
weird
just comes
too.
like, just walking up the stairs, and she's just like, "Don't kill us. Let us consummate first."
Yeah.
Like, don't
He's
kill
like-
us. We love each other. Like, what?
And then she's like, immediately says, "You can kill us, but let us consummate our love first."
If
And then
she's
for
a
some reason-
ghost, how is he gonna kill her? Like,
Exorcise her. I don't know how he's gonna kill her with a gun, but
He's got a ghost gun. Duh.
maybe. And then RoboCop has for some reason he's like, "Oh, these two are in love," but he has a memory of like him arguing with his wife about how like she thinks that he's a cop for some reason. Like I don't know why he was with the army.
It's literally RoboCop. Like, it's literally a scene they pulled from RoboCop.
Oh. Okay, well he's like you knew it was dangerous when you married me, or like you knew I was a cop when you married me, and she's like, "Well, I didn't realize what it entailed." So it's like he's like, "Ah, love. I remember being in love with my wife. Let me remember us arguing." And then he's just like, "All right," and then he just like leaves them
Like,
to
Okay,
do
bye.
it.
like RoboCop throughout the actual RoboCop movie has these like memories that kind of like creep through his system that is just like from his wife and his kid and stuff. That's like what brings him out of being kind of just like a
Robo?
robot, I guess. Like, and it's like that's all. Like this whole scene was just sort of ripped off the scene where like he goes to like the old house they lived in and shit. But yeah, then Ghost Woman and Gorilla Vampire fight RoboCop, and it's real cheesy, but it rules.
That's a solid name for a follow-up film.
Ghost Woman.
Ghost Woman and Gorilla Zombie fight RoboCop.
I like anytime
I kinda-
RoboCop
I'm
gets
not
hit
gonna
and
lie.
knocked down, it's like my favorite thing in the entire movie.
I kind of liked some of the stuff that they did with the ghost lady. Like the sound effects and like her weird like flying and shit. I was like, all right, this is kind of cool. Cause like it reminded me of those like really old like Japanese like folklore movies that are like really kitschy, but like they're charming in a way. I thought the music in this movie was like not
Yeah,
the worst.
the music is real good. It's just like it's
But-
one of those movies that like scenes just like hard cut to the next scene and the music just stops. So like
Yeah.
it'll be like this real loud music and then just like all of a sudden like no sound. And it's like real just jarring. So yeah, RoboCop gets beat up for a little bit and then just I don't know. It just ends for some reason because none of them die.
He robots out of it. It's fine.
Yeah, he just does the robot.
And they're like,
My next note says mercenary guy and woman he peeped on fleeing from someone.
Yep. I think
It's
they're
about
being
as-
chased by the mustache guy.
Hate to be chased by the mustache guy.
Oh man.
I mean, it's
It's the
it's-
worst.
It is.
Oh yeah, this
You're
is
not
when
having
they
a good
like
day.
they fucking hop on. They're running from John Carpenter and they jump on that fucking
airlift thing.
yeah that just like goes over this river that they then just have to jump into the river because the guy shoots at them with a bazooka.
This movie's so dope.
God, I don't know how they got John Carpenter in this movie. Um,
Or RoboCop.
like, yeah,
He's busy protecting the streets.
I fucking love calling him RoboCop. Because like you see the poster and you're just like, oh, that's literally RoboCop, and then you see what he looks like in the movie, and it's just fucking the exact opposite. So this mercenary and his girlfriend get kidnapped and taken hostage, and now they're getting fucking drip water tortured. And I guess this is the woman from earlier in the movie that's sewing up the cow that saves them.
That's what I assume. I have no idea.
Then she comes in and she like turns off the water and like unties them, but they have to pretend they're tied up because this giant bodyguard comes in and just tries to beat the shit out of everybody, and then she pokes his eyes out.
She literally just like scratches his eyes out.
It's awesome. Like, I just like that this scene lasts for like a solid like 3 or 4 minutes, and like it's just them hitting this dude to like no avail. So they escape, and this is when one of Kit's favorite scenes happens.
Yes.
As they go to like, I guess, storm this warehouse or fucking something. that I guess these drug smugglers are using, and like this guy's crawling on the roof and just drops a grenade, like it just tumbles down the roof and falls down and just explodes, and you just see what has to be like just dolls full of fucking cotton go flying everywhere.
It looked like particularly like floppy Stretch Armstrongs, like ragdolling out.
But then
so
he's like,
good.
There's a guy that like comes up behind him like on the roof too, and he like, first of all he's like struggling with him, but then very easily nonchalantly just like tosses a ragdoll off the roof and is like, haha.
10 feet, like wow.
Oh, it's so good.
Not to mention that he was like straddling the roof during this whole thing.
Yeah.
I could
He would have had like no leverage.
Watch those dummies go flying forever.
Just that on loop.
Yes. I don't know. The white woman is finally saved.
Oh yeah, they just find her like wandering.
Yeah.
There's like, hey, get her.
And then
She like wasn't kidnapped or anything at all. She just
she's like, what's going on
wandered
over
off.
here?
I was just checking out this island.
The amenities.
I mean, they blow up the base, and then you don't see any of these people again for the rest of the movie. You cut to, I think, John Carpenter talking to the Taoist guy to help him rebuild his empire, and he says yes, but they have to get rid of Robo Warrior first. The only time you ever hear him referred to as anything. Then he shows up.
They call them Robo Buddy.
Oh,
Robo
awesome.
Buddy.
Robocop shows up and attacks them, and then there's just a fucking 20-minute fight and stalking between Robocop and this fucking gorilla vampire.
Which is like so weird because he's like in the middle of fighting like the head vampire and this other random vampire, and then he just sort of like, you know that dance move where you're like holding someone and you like twirl them out? He like does that to both of them and then just like gets his gun and walks away. And I was like, what's happening? And then he's just like stalking him.
Yeah, like
and
all
Peter's
I'll say all of a sudden they're just like in the city when the rest of this movie takes place in just like the country.
yeah.
And it's real weird.
He's just like and the lead like vampire guy's just like popped out of the water. Then he like rolls down a bridge and grabs people. I'm like, what is happening at this point? And RoboCop is just like really slowly just like walking around the city. They're like at a fair or something.
Yeah, they go to the Friends water fountain. where this
They
dude
dance
is
in it.
like trying to make out with this other, like, some woman that I don't know is not in love with him. And
But she wants to kiss.
yeah, but then she goes to
I've
kiss
been
him,
there, I guess.
and and then fucking the vampire just like pops out behind him, and the dude just fucking wants no part of kissing anymore. Right, vampire cock blocked him.
Dang.
And then they just fucking go to a bridge for some reason and just slowly fucking stalk each other. And then a vampire takes people hostage, according to my notes.
Yeah, so Robo Buddy's like following him down this like bridge, and he literally lays on the ground and rolls down a ramp into the people and like grabs them.
Honestly, it's a great tactical decision.
I mean, if you think about it, it is, because it's like, first of all, you're wearing a gorilla mask, so they're already like, what's happening? And then you're rolling towards them, and at that point, they're just really confused as to what's happening. Then you just pop up and grab them.
Yeah, I couldn't get out of the way because I'm frozen with fear.
That's right.
Like-
And gonna start doing it.
I'll say, now you know how to get
Next
kicked.
time I'm in a situation, I'll just roll, barrel roll.
Gorilla mask barrel roll. Oh my god! Not again.
Not again. Why does this keep happening to me?
Oh my god, thank god this is almost over.
And there's just like 10 minutes of Robocop just getting the shit kicked out of him by vampires. And fucking Ghost Woman shows up to fight like the Taoist dude, and she throws her shirt at him, and then he just like draws something on her boobs, and she sort of pretends to die, I guess.
She literally, like, he like performs an exorcism on her, and she disappear. Like I don't know, but she's not dead.
It's just like the five-finger death punch thing and like Kill Bill, but just with painting on a chest. And she just like disappears, and then there's just some more fighting, and then she just reappears and kills the fucking Taoist dude, and then Robocop kills her vampire lover, I guess.
Because he tries to tries to exorcise the vampire guy. He's like, I created you and I can uncreate you or whatever, and then she scratches his face and he just like dies for some reason.
By exercising, you mean holding sparklers outside of their sleeves at people.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, this movie literally just ends where she kills this Taoist guy, and then Robocop kills that fucking vampire, and then it just ends.
I didn't even see him do that
no
because I was
credits. It just ends.
I was writing like Peter. Oh, so the vampire guy is like trying to shoot his like Roman candles at him, but he's like not dying. And as I was writing, Peter can't kill Tom. I look up and the Robocop's just like walking down an alley, and there's like smoke for like a couple minutes, and then it was the end. And I was like, wait, what? And I tried to like rewind it, but then it just like went back to the title screen, and I was like, what happened? And that answers it. Nothing.
More films should end with the protagonist just walking towards the camera, and then just like, boom, the end. No credits, that's it. It's over.
It doesn't sound like it, but this movie is fucking awesome, and everybody should watch it. Like, it's just hard to fucking explain because it's insane.
I mean, it is hard to follow too, but it is like one of those movies that I laughed out loud a lot during it.
It's a fun watch. Like, we don't have that very often, especially like surprise ones, I guess. Like, usually we'll watch a movie we know we like because we've watched like 5 in a row that are just unbearable. But this was one of those ones that like I was like, there's no way this movie's gonna be good, and then it was pretty awesome. I need to watch the sequel now. Even I just want to know if like the RoboCop dude shows up in it at all. Because
you can report back. I will not be.
I will absolutely do that. Katie, do you have any news?
I I mean, the only news that I care about is probably things that people already know, like Creepshow got renewed for a second season on Shudder, and they just added Trick or Treat to streaming.
Oh,
And
that's right.
then
Yeah, I pulled up the stuff that's streaming in November. Let me pull that up.
and then do you want to talk about Wally's
Yeah,
Wonderland?
that was the only news I care about.
Go for
That
it.
Nick Cage is doing a movie called Wally's Wonderland. That is Nick Cage fighting animatronic creatures in an amusement park,
What the fuck?
which is gonna be
100%.
amazing.
Yeah, it looks crazy.
Nick Cage,
What?
keep doing horror movies.
For real.
What is the one he's doing where he's like on a ship full of like deadly predators?
Oh, I don't know. I'm just aware. The only stuff I know for sure that he has coming out is this Wally's Wonderland or whatever, and then Color Out of Space.
I look it up because it's gonna bother me.
I would go.
Primal. That's what it is.
Oh, when's that come out?
Primal.
November
is it-
8th.
Oh,
Is it
really?
like a video game movie?
it's Primal Instinct or whatever.
A big game hunter for Zeus has booked passage on a Greek shipping freighter with a fresh haul of exotic and deadly animals from the Amazon, including a rare white jaguar, along with a political assassin being extradited to the U.S. in secret. 2 days into the journey, the assassin escapes and releases the captive animals, throwing the ship into chaos.
I will
Sold.
watch that immediately.
The poster is really good because it's just like Nicolas Cage, like literally looking like Indiana Jones with like a jaguar behind him.
Yeah.
Oh, that rules. More Nicolas Cage movies all the time. He needs to make movies like Godfrey Ho makes movies and just release like 30 a year.
There's also like if you Google the movie, there's like a screen grab of him and he kind of looks like Hitler. I'm not really sure what that's about.
I would watch a movie where Nick Cage plays Hitler. Just to make it like Jojo Rabbit, where it's just like a fucking weird comedy making fun of Hitler.
Nick Cage should have been the little boy.
With fucking Taiki Waititi.
But yeah, that's all the news I had.
Yeah, I try to screenshot. I just forgot the last couple months. Fangoria always releases like the horror stuff coming to streaming sites like each month. And there's some pretty rad shit coming to Shudder specifically, like Trick or Treat, like you said earlier. Fucking Tales from the Crypt Demon Night, which rules.
I think that's already, yeah,
Well,
I saw that
probably
earlier. I
came,
was gonna
like,
watch
the
it.
first or whatever.
Oh wait, it is November.
Yeah. Wes Craven's New Nightmare is coming on there, which
Yeah.
are the rest of the Nightmare on Elm Street still on there?
No.
Of course. Audition is the good, like the real good one that everybody should
Oh
go
shit, I
watch.
did see that.
And Tetsu, which is also real good. Bride of Reanimators on there. The
Shit, yeah.
Cat O' Nine Tails. Amazon Prime is getting Overlord and The Ring and Texas Chainsaw 3D, which I assume is real terrible. Hulu is also getting Overlord, which I have not seen yet, but I want to. And,
It's pretty good.
And Anna and the Apocalypse, which I also want to see. And Freddy vs. Jason. And
Masterpiece.
For some reason, just Freddy's Dead, The Final Nightmare.
Okay, that's pretty weird.
Netflix is getting Zombieland, which is terrible. And Rosemary's Baby in District 9. And HBO...
Like only old ass movies.
Yeah. HBO Now is getting Wes Craven Presents Wishmaster. I didn't know Wes Craven had anything to do with
Fuck yeah.
Wishmaster.
Like, not really, but
Probably he just has like a producing
like
credit on
producer credit.
It's all.
Yeah.
They're also getting Us, which everybody should watch Us because it's real good.
Back to back with Wishmaster.
Yes.
I did see there's some kind of streaming service for Apple TV and they I mean I don't have that, but they have been showing a lot of previews of like a lot of horror stuff that like TV series and stuff that actually looks pretty good. So
We are anti-Apple on this podcast.
I mean
I mean, none of them are good. Doesn't matter. All right, next week, aka for us, 5 minutes from now, we are watching 100 Million BC. Spoiler: it is real dumb.
Boo! Boo this film.
All you need to know is it's an Asylum movie that I was unaware of until we started watching it.
I didn't know that either, and then it was like the first thing that popped up, and I was like, oh, geez.
Yeah, I was like, God damn it. You can follow us on Twitter at IHopeYouSuffer and Instagram at IHopeYouSufferPodcast. I forgot to say it the last couple weeks. Leave us a rating on iTunes.
Please.
Or a review. We're like 3 away in the US from like iTunes actually promoting it on their like lists and shit. I think you have to have 20 and we're at 17. We have more than that if you count Canada and shit, but they don't because it's Canada.
Yeah, guys, like, I know that it's, like, super drag to go and, like, log in and rate stuff, but it's, like, super, super helpful, like, especially for smaller babies like us, and we really, like, need your help. So thank you.
Yeah, start fighting fucking the office ladies.
Yeah.
And fucking everybody just leaving celebrity podcast 4,000 ratings and reviews before they even start.
The Office's terror end.
What was that?
Said the Office's reign of terror must end.
I mean, I'm part of the problem because I've listened to it, but like I was infuriated when they dropped a 3-minute like teaser that was just like, this is what this podcast is gonna be about, and it already had like 800 5-star ratings, and I was like, are you fucking kidding me? So fuck celebrities.
Cool.
Give us.
We
your
need
money.
8,000 reviews.
Yeah.
Get on all your devices.
Just create fake accounts.
Buy an iPad and review us and return it.
Yeah, just go to Best Buy and like ask to like try out an iPad. Use their iTunes.
Yeah, do it.
Yeah, and then go listen to Kit's other podcast, Riff Raff. I forget what he told me. He was looking up for it earlier this week. Something about, I assume, an animal penis. I don't remember what we were talking about.
I forget.
Yeah.
my brain's
almost
bad.
has
I mean,
to be.
same. Like, almost anytime anyone's just, like, messages me about something that happened on any of these episodes, I'm like, what? We talked about that?
Huh?
Like me earlier.
Yeah. Katie was like, text me something about us talking about ice sharks in the Society episode, and I was like, I was talking about ice sharks? I was like, are you sure that wasn't, like, 30 episodes ago you were listening to?
I'm gonna start taking notes for the episodes so I remember what happens week to week, like Memento.
Yeah, go listen to Riff Raff on the Toilet of Hell website, and follow Katie on Instagram at WerewolfFace, and go listen to my other podcast, Let Me Be Your Pot of Love. I don't know. That's it. Go watch Robo Vampire. I hope you suffer, but why?
I can't say it because I'm holding my breath to defeat the hopping vampire.
Drugs!
Meat shake.
Drugs.
Drugs.